Hello, I'm Sanali Shaw, and you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook Live. Today, we are going to talk about how to ignite your passion and unlock your creativity. When we talk about passion and creativity, they both are interrelated and interconnected. Passion is your internal drive, inspiration, a source of motivation, something that drives you to do something and achieve your goals in your life. And when you are committed to something, you find innovative and creative ways to to achieve it. And that's how passion and creativity work together. It's easier to say, it's easier said than done because when you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, in realistically speaking, because it could be there are numbers of factors like you are going through your business is going through financial losses, or you are having a tough time in your personal and family life. So when you are at a very dark stage, so at that point, it is very difficult to 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 ignite your passion and unlock your creativity. And to discuss this topic, my guest is he is a personal transformation specialist, and he is also the founder of Phoenix Rising United. And he has joined us from Toronto, Canada. He is Mathew Gardner.
Awesome. Thanks for having me here, Asan. Great to be your guest today.
Okay, how are you?
Oh, I'm just magnificent. Thank you.
Okay, how is the weather there in Toronto?
Well, it's pretty good actually. We've had a great weather, a great winter, and
Mhm,
I have zero complaints as far as this experience. So
mhm.
I'm more than happy.
Okay. On the other hand, here in Punjab, Pakistan, the weather is changing. So I'm just wearing my t-shirt, as you can see, and the weather is changing. So it's going to be summer in the next a few months, in the next month, hopefully. And okay, let's get back to the topic. How do you, what approach do you use for how to ignite passion and unlock creativity?
Yeah, so I look at it as three steps to really
Mhm,
unlocking that idea of our full creative self expression.
mhm,
And in order to do that, we really have to attune to what is our passion here in the moment. And
mhm,
sometimes when people think about their passion, they're looking at more like a long-term type of thing or a
mhm,
or a career move or something like that. And that could certainly be part of your passion, but the passion is really in the moment. What ignites you,
mhm,
what sparks you, what gets you
mhm,
enthusiastic to move forward on. And
mhm,
so once people can start to identify out of all the options they have available to them, which ones are most energizing, which one does their heart sing to or speak to, and when they can really see
mhm,
that with clarity and more importantly, feel that, that's when they're
mhm,
taking that first step towards becoming a greater human being, towards fulfilling their true potential, and ultimately towards unlocking their creativity in a greater and greater way. So that's the first step, and that's really
mhm,
where it all begins, is that self-awareness about what is most important to me in this moment and what
mhm.
energizes me the most.
Yeah. Okay, let me stop you here. I would like to say that you said a very interesting thing, that passion is not a long-term thing. It is in the moment.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
because many people think that passion is an internal energy. You want to achieve your goals, so it is something, some type of a long-term thing, but it is in the moment.
1,000,000%. Absolutely. Yeah. Because if you
Yes.
think about what leads to a fulfilling life, Hassan, is many
Mhm,
memorable moments. And
mhm,
so rather than looking at like there's some kind of destination or result that I'm
mhm,
looking for, yes, that's going to happen, obviously.
mhm,
but it's more
Mhm.
about right now, how do I get the most
Mhm.
fulfillment out of this moment? How do I bring the most passion and enthusiasm to where I am on this platform? And
Mhm.
then that ignites this platform to be a launching pad into the next moment and the next moment.
Mhm.
So that, from my
Mhm.
standpoints, really how to have a
Mhm.
fulfilling life is to make every moment count.
Mhm. So, in other words, we can say life comprises of small steps. So you just have to drive the passion out of those small steps. So that's how when you combine them, when you accumulate all of those steps, it becomes your long-term journey or long-term uh, goal
Absolutely.
or objective. Okay, that's the first point, and the second and third.
Absolutely. So the second step is when you're taking action on this excitement, on this passion, on this level of enthusiasm, to do it to the best of your ability. Because a lot
Mhm.
of people give up. They'll see that, hey, maybe their store's closed and that means I'm not meant to do this thing. But that's not necessarily true. There may be a
Mhm.
million other open doors that you're just not seeing. So when you're using
Mhm.
your full skill set, your full talent, all of your
Mhm.
available resources, obviously utilizing discernment. I'm not suggesting people spend all their money trying to do this, but what I'm suggesting is what are the things available to you now in this moment, in this environment, that you can truly use with 100% of your effort, with 100% of your focus, with 100% of your energy, without burning yourself out, obviously. Again, having that discernment for what I'm saying. But that's really the
Mhm.
next critical step, is to not stop short. A lot of people cut themselves short. They don't follow through. They're not
Mhm.
persistent. They're not consistent. And so they're not
Mhm.
getting the results because they're not trusting the process.
Mhm. So we can say that you have to improvise. You have to utilize all the resources available to you and find a way. I think the thing I would like to add here that creativity, all the barriers, all the difficulties that you see is in your head. Once you are committed to something that you want to achieve it, then there's no way to stopping you.
Yeah. Yeah, a
Mhm.
million percent. Yeah. And again, this leads to the third step, which is not having any insistence or assumption about where it's taking you. Because that again is where people get caught up, is like they're putting in an effort, they're taking action, they're doing the things that are inspired, and then it's not resulting in the way they think it should. And that
Mhm.
again results in a form of negativity because they're making an assumption that it has to look a particular way. And we don't
Mhm.
necessarily know what it looks like. Sometimes we're in tune enough with the divine, with source power, to get that visual image, that vision of what it may look like, but often that's not the case. So if you always trust that you're in the right place at the right time doing the right things and you follow those first two steps, then
Mhm.
there's no reason to give any specific insistence about where this is leading or make any assumptions about it, because that's just putting unnecessary stress on yourself.
Mhm. So how do you summarize the third step in simple words?
Just acknowledge what you're most passionate about and take that first action step.
Mhm. So, in other words, we can say that first of all, you have to mm, life is in the moment. You have to enjoy the life, whatever you have in the moment, instead of looking forward or backwards. And that's the first step. And second is finding ways and utilizing your creative energies. And third is uh, uh, implementing the first two steps.
Yeah, and not having any insistence about where it takes you, right? Because so many people
Mhm.
get caught up in the result, like it should look like this, my partner
Mhm.
should be this way, or my business
Mhm.
should be looking like this. And if you do
Mhm.
that, now you're causing unnecessary suffering because you're imposing your projected image onto the
Mhm.
reality, and you can't
Mhm.
argue with reality. It only results in your suffering because reality ain't going to change. So what you can do is to come into balance with what truly is, and then
Mhm.
from there, now you can gain that natural alignment, and that can guide you to the next step and the next step. And like you were just saying, you just want to rinse and repeat. So if you're following through
Mhm.
on these three steps, you just do it again and again and again, and it builds up your energy. It's very fulfilling, it's very energizing.
Mhm. So, in other, we can say because realistically speaking, when you're going through a difficult time, you don't have any passion, and what approaches do you use to motivate people, to inspire them to take a pleasure in their small moments?
Yeah. Well, the critical key is, if someone's not allowing themselves to have patience, that's rooted in them assuming that their situation isn't what it should be, and they're insisting that it be different. So,
Mhm,
the three steps I shared really go back to all of people's challenges, because somewhere
mhm,
along the line, they're not following those three steps. And that's why they're having some form of negativity or
mhm,
discontentment in their lives. So, if you really
mhm,
look at, like, well, why am I impatient? Well, it's because I believe I should be somewhere else other than where I am. But if you just
mhm,
look at existence itself, that's
mhm,
impossible, because
mhm,
existence is exactly what it needs to be right now in order to support itself. It can't be any different. You can't force change. So the moment you
mhm,
let go of wanting things to be different than they are, that's when you can
mhm,
actually allow them to change and transform. And it's, to use an analogy here, is the idea of, if you're energetically constipated, what are you doing to yourself, right? You're holding things in
mhm,
place. You're holding on to that resistance. So that's what a lot of people are doing. And that's what results in impatience.
mhm. Yeah, because we are told to have certain things, that if I have a better house, then it would make me feel better. It would make me feel happy. If you have a beautiful girlfriend, so it would make me feel more attractive among friends, among the company. If I have a better job, so I'll make more money. It will make me happy. So these are the natural things, natural feelings. How can we put them aside and implement these steps?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, people really need to acknowledge what they do have rather than what they
Mhm,
don't have, right? Like,
mhm,
imagine having a child, right, son or
mhm,
daughter, and,
mhm,
oh, well, that's not the kid I wanted, so I'm going to
mhm,
neglect that one, right? I mean, you
mhm,
just wouldn't do that. It's your child. You'd love it,
mhm,
right? You'd appreciate it. You'd give it everything it needs, no matter what state it's in. It might be valedictorian, or, it might have a disability of some kind, and you need to, assist it and have additional assistance than what, a fully physically functioning child would require. But it doesn't matter. Whatever spectrum that child's on, you're going to give it
mhm,
all of your love and all of your heart. So that's really how we need to treat everything in our lives. It all is our creation. We've
mhm,
manifested all of it, consciously or unconsciously. So when you acknowledge what you have instead of what you don't, and you
mhm,
appreciate it and you love it, that's when you can actually allow it to change and transform into what it needs to be for your next lesson or for that next step in your spiritual journey.
mhm. It is very important. You said a very important thing, and I like it, that you have to focus on what you have instead of what you don't have, because when you focus on what you don't have, then you are going to start running after it. Then it would become your destination. It would become a long-term plan, and you would miss out the small pleasures and small moments that are currently happening, and you could enjoy them. You are going to miss them out, instead of just running after them.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Because it's like stopping to smell the roses, right? I mean, so many
Mhm.
people are caught up. Most people live their life like it's a golf scorecard,
Mhm.
right? And so on the golf
Mhm.
scorecard, the only thing you see is that final score. It's either, par or birdie or bogey
Mhm.
or double
Mhm.
bogey or eagle.
Mhm.
But and then we weigh people's worth on what they've
Mhm.
achieved in the past and on their
Mhm.
physical reality. It's like, that's totally displaced. It's totally misplaced. It's not even real. It's not even true. Like, the past is kind of irrelevant in a lot of
Mhm.
respects. I mean, yes, we
Mhm.
still have our discernment and weigh it to a
Mhm.
degree. But the
Mhm.
only thing that really counts is, like, what are you doing with your life right now? And if you're not
Mhm.
appreciating what's in this moment, if you're appreciating, like, oh, I did so many wonderful things in the past, well, great.
Mhm.
But what are you doing with it, like, right now? How do you
Right.
utilize
Right.
that for your growth?
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. For instance, I go for an exercise roundabout at this time. every day in the morning, and it's morning here. I think we have 12 hours of difference, or 10, yeah, 10 or 12 hours of difference. And anyways, I go for exercise, and I meet a lot of people in the ground. They are running, exercising, jogging, and playing footballs and other things. And yeah, I just wave my hand, shake my head, and to acknowledge them, uh, about my presence to them, or they just look away. They sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just smile to each other. We look in the eye and smile. So it's like we are living in the moment. I don't know their names, and I see them every day, and I enjoy their presence. I appreciate their presence and company, and it's like a silent connection that I'm having with them. And the point of the whole story I'm telling you is that you have to live in the moment. As you said, you have to stop by and smell the roses, and whatever who is passing by, you just have, if someone is looking at you, you have to look them back, uh, and smile to them. It's like living in the moment. Whatever small pieces of energy or small fraction of happiness, whatever is coming, you have to receive it and accept it in your heart, and it would make you feel happy. And I think that's how, whatever you are saying, the whole you are saying, and the first step and the second step, and I think that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the
Mhm,
third step, right? Because when you're
mhm,
not insisting that the moment needs to be different than what it is, and you're not
mhm,
assuming that it means any particular thing in terms of
mhm,
your worth, right?
mhm,
Because the external manifestation doesn't validate your worth, it simply
mhm,
validates your state of being. And more
mhm,
importantly, it's how you relate to the external world, right? Do you see it from a
mhm,
positive perspective? Are you utilizing it for a positive purpose? Or are
mhm,
you using it as in it for a negative purpose where you want to be
mhm,
separate from it? You want it to be
mhm,
different. So that's ultimately what it comes down to is if people allow themselves to use everything for a positive purpose, which could be said to be the fourth step, no matter what
mhm,
happens on your journey as you're going through, following your passion, following the energy, following the excitement, always
mhm,
utilize what manifests for your positive benefit. And no matter what it is, just assume that it's here to serve you in a positive way. And it just
mhm,
becomes kind of like digging for gold, a self discovery in terms of how is this experience actually serving my growth?
mhm. So the fourth step is, yeah, that's the fourth step.
Yeah, the fourth step would be to utilize whatever manifests,
Mhm,
utilize it for a positive purpose for your growth.
mhm, mhm. Yes. And okay, you have coached and transformed the lives of many people. So, what challenges do you usually face?
Well, the main challenge is really myself,
Mhm,
in a sense, because I look at the external reality as my own manifestation. So the
mhm,
way people are responding to me is based on what I need to learn in that moment. So it's
mhm,
never about the other person. And I think that's
mhm,
a challenge for a lot of coaches, is because they feel like on some level maybe they're fixing a person or
mhm,
something like that. But that's not possible because life is a hall
mhm,
of mirrors. It's a hologram. You're just seeing different versions of yourself. So I
mhm,
know that if I want to see transformation in the external world, it's up to me to transform on the inside. And whatever forms of communication that I'm inspired to utilize, or the gamma breathing process that I use, which is another form of higher communication, that's what allows people to have an experience of transformation, but it also teleports me into a different version of reality where I'm now interacting with literally a different client. They might look the same, but they're literally a different person because they now have a different viewpoint and they have different brain neurology. They're looking at reality from a transformed point of view.
mhm. So you said life is a hologram. Life is about mirrors and different perspective. How do you explain that?
And I'm not a scientist, so this is my
Okay.
simple explanation based on my own experience.
Mhm,
But essentially, if life is a hall of mirrors, that means everything outside of ourselves is somehow reflecting back a part of who we are. And it's up to us to
Mhm.
decide how we're going to use that. And it's not to
Mhm.
say that everything has some deep, meaningful experience, but it's just to note, hey, in some way, shape, or form, you're a part of me, your background's
Mhm.
a part of me, this entire experience, it's all coming from my consciousness. And while
Mhm.
simultaneously the same thing's happening for you, we're
Mhm.
actually at the highest level coming from the same point of consciousness, and we're kind
Mhm.
of split off. And one of the analogies that I've learned from a mentor, he talks about the idea of having shards of a shattered mirror as a reflection point. So we're all part of the same mirror, but in the
Mhm.
ego consciousness, we appear to be separate. So when you recognize we're all coming from the same source power, that's what I
Mhm.
mean when everything's a reflection of itself.
Mhm. It's very interesting. Last week I was discussing. I was discussing the same issue with Ed Konovitz, and he said I asked him the same question, that what is the source uh, of uh, of our internal energy that we all have? What is the source of it? So, and you are also talking about the source of that we all of us, all of us are connected with each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah. There's interconnectivity no matter what. We're all
Mhm.
subconsciously connected and we'll never get away from that. So there's a consistent ripple effect, right? My
Mhm.
vibration is automatically going to impact your vibration and
Mhm.
vice versa. Now, we all have free will though, right? So if someone's
Mhm.
negative, that doesn't mean that I have to utilize it negative from a negative standpoint. If someone's negative,
Mhm.
I can choose to utilize it as a neutral prop and say, wait a second, I'm going to utilize that for my growth instead of allow it to bring me down. And so then I begin to say, okay, well, why would I even attract that into my life where someone's negative? And then I
Mhm.
discover the inherent purpose. And then I'd allow
Mhm.
myself to align with a brighter, more happier future or more happier reality where I'm not seeing as many negative circumstances.
Mhm. It reminds me law of attraction, that whatever you feel inside, whatever your thoughts and your internal energy, and you attract the same thing from outside. And if you are positive from inside, then you attract the positive energy, and all the positive things starts happening in your life. And on the other hand, if you're negative, then you will attract negative things are going to happen in your life. So it's like law of attraction.
A little bit. I mean, I think that's oversimplified in the sense that you can't gloss over your negativity. So if someone has
Mhm.
an inherently negative perception or definition or belief, by telling
Mhm.
them positive things about it, that's not necessarily going to help them.
Mhm.
But if
Yes.
they really look at the reasons why they may have a negative perception and then they
Mhm.
release it to the point where it no longer makes any sense to view the world that way, then it's
Mhm.
truly gone. And they don't have to tell themselves positive things. They'll
Mhm.
automatically have a positive perspective because think of it like if you take all the dirt, say you're mining for gold and you remove all the
Mhm.
dirt, you're left with
Mhm.
gold, right? And the
Mhm.
gold's just there. It's now apparent. It's now obvious. So that's really what the
Mhm.
process is all about.
Mhm. So, realistically speaking, uh, we cannot block out the negative things. They are just bound to happen. And our life, we all of us, and you are facing some challenges. I am facing some challenges. So we are going to meet some bad people. Bad things are going to happen sooner or later. But the thing we have to remember is to stay positive, and to keep the perspective uh, about hopeful and optimistic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not so much that bad things are going to happen, it's just
Hmm.
that things are going to happen. And we can
Yeah.
choose to see it as something
Hmm.
bad that we didn't want, or we can say, hey, I've created this for a reason. I've created this as a
Hmm.
lesson for me to grow from. So, how can I utilize it in that manner? How can I utilize it for a positive purpose? So, that's really what positive thinking truly is no matter
Hmm.
what happens in your life, you're allowing it to be a fruitful lesson. You're assuming that it's there to serve you rather than to impinge upon you or impede upon you. And now you're saying,
Mhm.
okay, this is actually a platform for my next level of consciousness, my next level of growth, and therefore I'm going to use it in that manner.
Mhm. Mhm. And because many people think that things, and we all of us, many people think that things are here to serve you back.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because if you think,
Mhm.
what is the purpose of life but to
Mhm.
allow everything to be your friend, but to allow it to
Mhm.
serve you in a positive way, but to allow
Mhm.
yourself to be the best version of you and take action on that passion to the best of your ability? That's really the
Mhm.
entire purpose of life. So if you're not allowing things to be your servant in a positive way, meaning like you're not their master and they're your slave, they're just here to
Mhm.
serve you as you're here to serve others. We're all here to serve one another from a place of
Mhm.
empowerment. If you take
Mhm.
that stance, then you're always going to be in balance. You're always going to be in harmony. And you know that your thoughts and your feelings and your actions are always going to complement everyone in the reality that you're experiencing.
Mhm. So, because can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but your camera went out.
Okay, let me check. Okay, uh, I don't know. Okay, still, can you hear me? And the camera isn't working.
I can hear you fine, but the camera's still black.
Okay, let me let me put you on screen, and I'm gonna speak it from background.
Perfect.
Okay, now here. Because mm, mm, I would like to say here that that negative energy and negative things, and because many people think uh, that we cannot block out the negative energies and negative things. They are just there. You just have to change the perspective of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you can't block out negativity. In fact, you
Mhm.
want negativity to come into your awareness because
Mhm.
that is an indicator that it's ready to be released. And it's the
Mhm.
equivalent like if you eat food, you want your
Mhm.
body to digest it and then you want to excrete it, right?
Mhm.
Because if you held it in, your body would start to get toxic because your
Mhm.
body needs to release that stuff. So, it's the same thing with our negative perceptions. They come up into our conscious awareness so that we can let them go. And a lot of people through conditioning in our society, they suppress that again and again. And it's like if you had to have a bowel movement, but you just kept holding it in, holding it in, holding it. I mean, people actually die from that, right? Because of the toxins and how it backs up their entire intestinal tract. So that's essentially what people are doing when they suppress their negativity. So you want it to come up, but when it comes up, now you're shining the light of your consciousness on it. Now you're giving the opportunity for it to dissolve and to integrate into the oneness of who you are, your fully integrated, authentic being. And then it's from that place where you'll experience less negativity. You'll be less impacted by it. You may be aware of negativity, but it won't affect you as much because you have more of a holistic viewpoint on life.
And one sec.
No problem.
Okay, I'm having a little technical issues, and I'm going to I'm trying to resolve it. And
Yeah, no issue.
uh,
Yeah, no issue. Yeah, I can hear you fine. So I mean, this is fine. I know we're wrapping it up in a couple minutes anyway, so I think it's just
yeah.
fine. Just if you
Mhm.
want to, complete it, and if you had anything final to ask me, I'm happy to wrap it up.
Okay, you summarize the whole perspective of how to ignite passion and and uh, and unlock creativity.
Absolutely. So just be aware of the moment, be aware
Mhm.
of the opportunities to take action and the things that excite you the most, the things that you're most inspired to do. What gives you that spark? What do you feel certain about that if I do this, I'm going to get a beneficial outcome? Take action
Mhm.
on those things. Do it to the best of your ability. Don't make any assumptions about it. Don't insist that it has to look a certain way. Use your skills, use your talents, whatever's available to you. Give it 100% effort. Do your best, and then
Mhm.
simultaneously, as that's all happening, Whatever does happen, don't insist upon it being a certain outcome. And whatever the outcome is, allow yourself to use it in a positive way. And by following that formula, by following those 4 steps, you're guaranteed to live a successful life. You're guaranteed to live an abundant life because you'll be provided with every form of support you need to move forward. And that's how you allow yourself to ignite your passion and unlock your creativity to the greatest extent possible.
Okay, just 1 second. I'm
Mhm.
and I'm here. Okay, I'm
Hello.
back. Okay, I'm back now, and I was gone just for a moment. Yeah, so the thing I understand and I learned from you is not to uh, just you have to change the perspective of yourself and the image you have about life, about your goals, and in the long term thing. You just have to, okay, it's just there. You just have to live in the moment and utilize all the resources and repeat the process.
Absolutely. And the most important, probably out of all of it, is that no
Mhm,
matter what happens, making the
mhm,
assumption that it's here to serve you in a positive way and
mhm,
utilizing it from a positive point of view. And then from
mhm,
there, just allow it to continue to repeat that cycle again and again, no matter what happens.
mhm,
And also, this
mhm,
is an important point, Hassan, is the more you grow in consciousness, the bigger problems can seem, but it's only an illusion that it's a bigger problem. And the only reason why you're experiencing that is because you're ready to handle it. So if you assume that you're ready to handle everything that life gives to you and that you're going
mhm,
to, and you've made the decision to use it in a positive way, then it'll
mhm.
absolutely serve that purpose for you.
Okay, okay, I'm going to share my own personal experience. Do you have time? Uh, do you have time to
Yeah, let's do it.
listen?
Sure.
And okay, okay. And I was around about 4 or 5 years ago. I was after finishing my MBA, and I just stepped into the job market, and I was going through failure after failure, and it just made me so much negative. And for the next 2 or 3 years, I remained I was very in a dark stage of my life, and mm, I was seeing no light at the end of the tunnel. So whatever I was thinking about the negative things, and negative things were kept on happening to me, and the whole process was repeating itself until last year, in 2019. And that's how I met some people like yourself, and they changed my perspective. And it was very difficult for me. It was a very slow process. Last year, not last year, in 2019. Yes, around about. Yeah, you can say that last year. Anyways, they changed my perspective from inside. It was difficult for me to understand them because I was seeing that they are just exaggerating things. Life doesn't happen because I have seen failure. I have seen that how life works. But they were right. I was wrong at that time. I just had to change my perspective, and it took me around about 4 or 5 months. I was in a training, and I just went. I had to go there every day. I had to meet them. So we used to have this different discussion. It was a very slow process, and with the passage of time, my perspective was changed, and I'm very thankful to them that they changed my perspective. And when my perspective was changed, uh, step by step, slowly, gradually, uh, the good things started happening to me, and I started excelling things in my professional life, and I started my own blog around about last year in 2020, in the middle of 2020. And now my traffic in the traffic on my blog is increasing. I'm a writer, by the way. I write business articles, and the list of my clients started growing. So it's all about, I think, the thing that started that laid the foundation of myself, the who I am today, is just a perspective. As you said, I would have met them earlier. If I would have met them earlier, then things would have happened much earlier.
Yeah. Well, but there's also an important point there, Hassan, is that everything happens at the right time, right? And I think that's where
Mhm,
another piece of the puzzle lies, is that
mhm,
many people beat themselves up for, things not
mhm,
being the way they think they should be, or thinking
mhm,
that it's taking too long. And the fact is, it's going to
mhm,
take as long as it's going to take. And
mhm,
so, I think you've walked a wonderful path and learned so
mhm,
much. And like technically,
mhm,
yes, you could have maybe gotten there sooner, but
mhm,
that wasn't what needed to happen. And
mhm,
you're in the lesson as long as you need to be there until you learn the lesson and until you're ready to
mhm,
move on. And that's
mhm,
just the way existence has been constructed.
mhm. It is. You said things just happen. Things happen on the right time, and I never believed on that, on this point that things just don't happen. And For the past 2 years, and I've started to realize that things just happen at the right time. So the question is that how we are going to know that things happen at the right time and why things are not happening right now.
Yeah, great question. And this
Mhm,
this is an eternal point of exploration, I believe, even beyond
mhm,
human experience. We're
mhm,
consistently exploring this idea of
mhm,
consciousness. But
mhm,
as you align with that higher vibration more and more, you actually begin to see what is happening. You actually get
mhm,
future premonitions, visions. You see where things are going, you see where things are
mhm,
leading, and you get
mhm,
a probability, right? So
mhm,
I can say, over the next 6 to 12 months, there's certain things that are probable. They're probably
mhm,
going to happen. Now, anything is possible. So I'm talking
mhm,
about probable, right? Which is a key
mhm,
distinction. So I can make those assumptions, right? But to say it's going to be exactly 6 months, well, maybe it won't.
mhm,
Maybe it'll be 9 months. Maybe it'll be 12.
mhm,
But in some way, shape, or
mhm,
form, this thing, this
mhm,
theoretical thing that we're talking about is going to
mhm,
happen. So
mhm,
that's really how you can utilize this to your advantage in a practical way. You can get a sense of the timing and how you
mhm,
need to be in a particular place at the right time. You get that energetic frequency within you. You get an idea like, hey, that Asan and I, we're meant to be here right now because there's this
mhm,
form of synergy. There's a form of energy. So that's an
mhm,
indicator that we're doing the right thing because we feel aligned in this conversation.
mhm. Uh, Things just happen. It's just a probability, in other words. Things happen at the
Absolutely.
right time. It's a
Absolutely.
probability. Mhm,
Yep. Yep. And the closer you get to it, the more it becomes certain. But the further you're looking off in the future, the more it's probable. So, like, we
mhm,
can be certain that tomorrow the sun's going to come up, right? And we're all going to
mhm,
experience that. We can be certain
mhm,
that we're going to go about our day and utilize it for a positive purpose. We can be certain about
mhm,
that. We can
mhm,
be certain about our schedule and, our appointments and things like that. But how are they
mhm,
actually going to unfold, exactly where they're going to lead us? We can measure a
mhm,
probability of that, but
mhm.
there's no sense. We don't even need to be certain about it because mystery is part of the experience here as a human being.
So, how does it differ from belief and probability that sun is going to rise up tomorrow and we are going to sleep at night? Things just going to happen. And how is it different? It's a probability, and the other thing is belief. How is it different from belief, or they just are the same things?
Well, they're similar, but there's definitely distinctions. So,
Mhm,
probability is more aligned with the reality that you're current aligned with. So,
mhm,
you and I can both say that we're aligned with a reality where the
mhm,
probability of the sun coming up in the morning is like 99.99999%, like it's super high.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
of course, there may be other realities where the moon comes up, instead, or they don't have
mhm,
a sun, or they have two suns,
mhm,
right? So there's all
mhm,
kinds of different realities, but those aren't
mhm,
relevant for us necessarily.
mhm,
Belief is often something that's like a filter or a perception that's overshadowing a probability. So someone might internally know that they're not in a healthy relationship, but they want to
mhm,
believe that that person can change, or maybe they haven't been seeing them right. So then they overshadow a belief on top of the probability. Say that person's been cheating on them, their partner, and they're probably been cheating. That's the probability, but they don't want to believe that. They don't want to believe that their partner would cheat on them. So in a way, they're actually deceiving themselves. So that's one way that beliefs can end up overshadowing probabilities and really giving someone a different idea than what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to overshadow the reality.
Exactly. And that's essentially what a belief is. It's a shadow on top of what is actually happening. So we really don't need beliefs. And we have
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, but it's our job
Mm-hmm.
to dissect them and disassemble them and bring them into the light of our consciousness so that we can get in alignment with the true reality and then truly know the real probability and timing of things.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I love this view that belief is something that that it's a affirmation that you just overlook the bad things. On the other hand, uh, the probability is you just you focus on the relevant things and just look away from the bad things or from the other things that are not relevant to you.
Yeah, and it's a natural process too. Like as you let go of beliefs that are not serving you, limiting beliefs, if you will,
Mhm,
then you're automatically paying attention to the things that are most relevant for you. And learning about your own inherent beliefs is part of the process. So it's not about
mhm,
denying your beliefs. You're going to have that experience of like, this is your belief. Um,
mhm,
but you get to allow it to serve you in a positive way rather than holding you back or rather than filtering your perception of the probability or the reality.
mhm. You just have to filter out the relevant things and keep the irrelevant things out of your perception and your perspective. And the belief is you focus on whether it's bad things or good thing or bad thing. You accept everything, and you are deceiving yourself, just like you gave a very good example of a partner is cheating on them, so the partner isn't believing that he couldn't do that and he couldn't do it. It means he is deceiving himself or herself by focusing by belief in it in his or her belief. On the other hand, probability is filtering out all the irrelevant things and focus on the most relevant part, that the sun is going to rise up tomorrow.
Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful summary.
Mhm. And I think we have got a very good discussion, and we started our journey from the 4 steps about living in the moment and utilizing your energy to repeat the process. And what was the 4th step?
Use everything for a positive purpose no matter what happens.
Yes, use everything for a positive purpose, and uh, no matter what happens. And that was the 4th step. And after that, we had a very good discussion on belief and how is it different from beliefs, and how is it and it is more like a probability that sun is going to rise up tomorrow and we are going to sleep at night. I'm working on this project, I'll get the better results, and the money I have invested in my business is going to pay me back. So these are the probabilities, I'm working on them. And on the other thing, if something bad happens, I change my plans accordingly uh, to achieve my goals, and that's what igniting passion and unlocking creativity is all about.
100%.
Yes, and would you like to add some final thoughts?
Well, if you make it your life purpose to be yourself to the best of your ability, then you know that you'll
Mhm,
always live a fulfilling life. And one of the
mhm,
things that I provide for people, which is a free gift for anyone in my
mhm,
network, is I
mhm,
host a masterclass every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So I know that may
mhm,
be your midnight. But 2 p.m. Eastern time, people are free to attend my Phoenix Rising Masterclass.
And I would join you sometime, and we will have this kind of session some other week or some other day whenever you get time. And thank you so much for joining us, and it was wonderful having you. Or if you are watching, and guys, if you're watching, if you have any question, let's just leave it in the comment box below. I'll answer it, or Matthew will get back to you as soon as he can. And thank you, and have a good day or good night.
Thank you, Hassan.
Okay, you're welcome.